Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our speaker, Ron Caudle.
Good morning, my name is Ron Caudle, and I'm the Codfather. I'd like to thank everybody for coming this morning, and I'd especially like to thank the sponsors, MNP, LLP. That was easy to say. I'd also like to thank all the sponsors this morning. Without them, none of this would happen. And I'd like to thank the Chamber for fostering events like this in our business community. I'm going to introduce my family, who's very important to me and very important to our business. My wife, Sylvia Caudle, the Queen Crab. Sorry, hon, you truly are the water beneath my chins. My son Matt, the seafood kid. My oldest daughter Michelle, we call her the one that got away because she's not coming into the business. And my youngest daughter Monica, who is coming into the business, is called Rainbow. Team Caudle is here. Say hello, guys. Hello. I have a lot of friends here. Thank you for coming. And there's a lot of friends in the volunteer community, which is a very big part of who our family is and who Caudle's Catch is. And you'll hear that story resonating throughout my talk today, because I think family, employees, friends, and volunteers are what make a successful business. Here's the team. So a little bit of background about Sylvia and I. I was born in Halifax, started working for Woco in management in 1977, and worked there for 9 years. Traveled through cities like Halifax, Dartmouth, Bathurst, Moncton, up to Kitchener, and eventually into Toronto. Sylvia and I met in Kitchener. Sylvia went to Humber College, worked for Woco as well. That's where we met. And we married in 1985. So yes, this is our 30th year. Thank you. So like was said in the introduction, I'm from Halifax, and every place I traveled to and went back home, people thought I was a seafood expert because I was from the East Coast. Well, my dad was in the Navy, close to the water. My mother was a nurse. So really didn't know anything. I'm sure we had some distant cousins that were fishermen, but I'm not sure. So when I came to Kitchener, it was like, oh, you're from Halifax. Bring some lobster back with you next time you come back from down home. So I did, but I had to call my mother to find out how to cook them. And ironically, I cooked my first lobster in Kitchener, way back in 1981, 5 years before we started the business. So Sylvia and I were both working for Woco. We were very successful. We were leaders in our management fields and doing very well. I was actually the youngest AGM in Canada for Woco at 26 years old, and had what I thought was a very promising career in retail management. But when I got to Toronto, I was exposed to the politics of big business. So I got where I was on my own merit, and now it was going to be who liked me and who didn't. And that was a real shock to me. And when I talked to Sylvia, she agreed. So we started some discussions about doing something else, because I didn't want to stay on that road. So we talked to friends, we talked to family. My father-in-law, Gunther, who's here today with Heidi, his wife Heidi. We had a lot of talks about, opening our own business, which was kind of a scary thought. And he had his own business, entire retread, and he wanted me to come into that, and I declined as gracefully as I could because I didn't want to work for my father-in-law. So So we kept looking around, and Sylvia and I talked about, if I'm cooking lobster and salmon and stuff every time I come back from down east, why don't we look at the seafood business? So we looked around town, and there was a few companies around town, T&J's, Story Seafood down on Belmont, and another guy over in Lexington. And I think the old highway market had a lobster tank. There was a couple of restaurants that carried some seafood. The lower deck, if you remember, at the Charcoal Steakhouse had some seafood. But that was about it. But it seemed like, we did some research into the States, and it was really catching on down there. Red Lobster's had over 100 restaurants there. Grocery stores were carrying it. So it seemed like, we would just be on the cusp of this seafood business, and that seemed very exciting to us. So during all of our research, we got very passionate about it, and then, the down east, and I know how to cook lobster now, and, so we thought, let's do it. Let's open up a seafood store. So with the help of, who else but friends and family, we built a little place, 500 square feet, all, we did it all ourselves, from laying the tile to converting freezers into showcases. Brian Holtham and I actually built our first cash register stand, and we had no idea what a hammer and a nail was. And it stood up for 15, 20 years. So maybe I get into the wrong business. So we talked to friends about it, and they thought we were they thought we were a lot crazy, opening up a seafood store. And we didn't really know anything about small business. We were big business experts, but we didn't know about financing and marketing ourselves. And, I did big ads, full-page flyers for local, but I've never done an ad for myself before. So there was a big learning curve. We didn't even know what to name the business. We had this idea to open a seafood store, we didn't know what to name it. For a long time, it was going to be called the East Shore Fish Store. The big MNPLLP is a twist on it. Wow. Luckily, we ended up calling it Caudle's Catch. And we opened the business April 4th, 1986, which was my mother's birthday. And it just happened to be on Monday of that week, and that's when we decided to open. So I never ever forgot my mom's birthday. We started to say, okay, so we opened the doors. Now, how are we going to market ourselves? How are we going to tell people who we are and where we are? So, we made the mistake that a lot of business owners did. We went out, we bought everything with all the money we had to get fixtures and open the business, but we didn't save any money for marketing. And banks and lending facilities aren't going to give you money for marketing. They want like a hard fixture to do for a backup. So that was one of the mistakes that we made when we started out. But you know what? We were thinking with our heart, not our brain back then. As a lot of young entrepreneurs do when they start a business. So we made a lot of mistakes that way. And it was tough. We struggled to get sales. It was frustrating. You wonder if you made the right choice or not. But Sylvia came from a family business, and I had my father-in-law to push me on, because he was going, he's going to come into the tire business. Not a chance. So had to remain positive, stubborn, and Sylvia knew what it took. And a lot of people that start businesses don't realize the commitment that you have to make to last the first 5 years in business and to be successful. Sylvia knew that. She came up in a family business, so that was a big pillar for sure. So we struggled to get sales. We started advertising, marketing in newspapers, little magazines like the Marketplace, I think, was a big thing back then. It was cheaper than the Record, so we advertised in there. And but the thing that really turned the corner for us was a renowned business writer from the Record, Henry Cook. I don't know if some of the older people might remember him. And he was, it was a free article. He found out about us, and he wrote a positive article on us. And And we got more business from that, and more press from that, than any marketing we ever did. So let that be a lesson to you that you don't have to pay for your best advertising. Just get the word out through people like the Chamber of Commerce and institutions that are there that will support you. There's a lot of them in our community. Get involved with charities, get your name out there in other ways. You don't have to pay for all your marketing. Have a strategy for it. We bought the St. Jacobs Market stand to try to get some extra sales because we needed some volume to have some buying power. We bought a stand at the St. Jacobs Market for $500. It's probably worth like $50,000 today, and we're actually doubling our space in the new market when we open later on in June. So that was one of the better decisions we made back in those early years. We decided that we needed to increase our buying power and our revenue, so we went into the wholesale business. We had originally just opened up as a store, just a little 500 square foot retail store, and that's all we were going to do. But we soon realized we need some volume, we need to start buying in bigger amounts, get better prices, and get some more revenue. So we went after the restaurant business. And it was good. I go out knocking some doors and, can I say some salmon, some lobsters. We've got the whole package. And it was relatively successful, except that, we do 15 restaurants and 3 of them will go out of business, and that was our profit. So we just worked a whole year for nothing. And you don't have to do that too many years to realize that that's not the right way to go. So, there's got to be a better way. So we were approaching year 5 of our business now, and I said, there's got to be somebody out there that will at least pay us for what we do, for what we sell. So I knocked on the door of the Red Lobster. They had just opened up in Kitchener, Waterloo, Guelph, Brantford, and they wanted nothing to do with a young guy that had a retail seafood store. But at least I got my name out there to them. And lo and behold, like 3 or 4 months later, they called me. Do you have any lobster? We've got a problem with our supplier in Toronto. And I said, sure, we have lobsters every day. Not very many of them, because we only had a little 4-foot tank. But we had them every day. And so I packed them up in a box and took them down in our delivery vehicle, which was my wife's 79 Rabbit, because we had to sell my car to finance the business. And I got down there to the Red Lobster, rang the buzzer at the back door. Guy answered the door, had the box of lobster like this. And he kept looking by me. He goes, "Where's your truck?" I said, "Well, I brought these down right away. I thought you were in a hurry for them." He goes, "We were. Thank you very much." He didn't ask me if I had a truck. I didn't tell him I didn't. So that's how we started with the Red Lobster. And we became like a backup source for them, right? But when we got one, we got another. And the Charcoal Steakhouse even gave us a try. We were kind of like a backup supplier for them. So it was starting to evolve. We had some wholesale accounts that were paying us. We had a store who was starting to get busier by more word of mouth than anything. And we had a market down in St. Jacobs that my sister-in-law Veronica ran, because she's sitting right here too. Took some time from her busy day. Thanks for coming. And she's that part of, the family supporting you. You really need that. So she was going to school, and then she would work the market for us every weekend. And she would take the stuff down in containers, styrofoam boxes with ice packs in the back of her car. I remember one time she spilled some pickled herring juice. Oh my God. It probably still smells today, whoever has that car. So we were getting busier. And we started hiring people for the first time. And that was like, we had the family working there, and now we had to hire some outside people. Really pretty scary. But we were getting more and more Red Lobsters around southwestern Ontario, because once they found out what our quality was like and what our service was like, and we even had a truck now, right? didn't have to take it down on the rabbit. They like their quality and like their service, and word spreads fast when you get good quality and good service. So soon they were asking us to do more and more stores. They eventually said, like, you know what, you're doing like a quarter, a third of our stores. We want you to do all our stores in Ontario. And I said, we can't do that. I don't have any money to buy any more trucks. We don't have any trained staff. We don't have a warehouse big enough. I said, you know, we're going to have to think about it and see if we can do that. And they said, okay. But the truth was, I didn't want to go to Toronto. Toronto scared me. I want to stay. Remember, I'm from down east. I'm from Halifax, a nice, quaint little friendly city. I didn't want to go to Toronto. I wanted to stay local. And it may sound crazy, but it was really scary going to Toronto back in those days with trucks and people, and maybe I had to do it myself. I can't remember. But I said, what's the next biggest local seafood user in our area? And it was Zehrs Markets. So Sylvia and I did some research for a few months. We would go to the Zehrs stores around the city every day, and we would write down what inventory they had, and more importantly, we would write down what products they were out of. So we knew that we could supplement that because we were local. So I called their office, said, hey, Ron Caudle, Caudle's got seafood, want to know if I can have a meeting with it. No. Oh, why? Well, we have enough seafood suppliers and none of them are any good anyway. Said, I know that because some of your stores are out of business. Some of them sell out of lobster on Friday and they don't get any new ones till Tuesday. So I said, you're missing sales. I said, maybe we could help each other out. I even do the Red Lobsters, right? So, you know, you shouldn't be afraid of me, even though we only done about 3 then, I think. But he said, you know what, come in to see me. He said, you've done some research? I didn't even know that. I said, okay. So we went in, he gave us one store, Beechwood Zehrs. And the same thing happened with Zehrs as happened with Red Lobster. They like their service and they like their quality. So we kept getting more and more Zehrs stores. So now, getting bigger and busier. So my brother Mike was in between jobs in Nova Scotia, so he came up to help me do wholesale. My mom and dad were thinking about retiring from the armed forces, so they retired early and came down and run the retail. And the store and the market and the wholesale's getting busier. Veronica's working at the market. Man, it was great to have family to help, I'll tell you that. In those early years, we probably wouldn't have made it. So we go into the second 5 years. I can remember joining the Chamber of Commerce. And I can remember the networking and the business after 5 and the golf tournaments and other events that I went to. And it was like, hey, there's other people out there like me. There's business owners that are having the same problems I'm having with marketing, with hiring staff. And it was so comforting to talk to people that are going through the same thing you are. And that's why the Chamber of Commerce fosters business in our community. And you know, without them, a lot of things wouldn't happen in a lot of good ways. So I really thank them for what they do, and I thank all of you for being members of the Chamber. So a real big thing while I'm still in the Chamber is back in 2007, we were nominated for Small Business of the Year. I can't remember how many employees we had then. I think it might have been like 9 or something. And Sylvia and I were the only ones that went to the event. And I can remember being blown away by the style of the event, the Academy Award feeling of the event. We didn't win, but it was an honor just to be nominated. And everybody told us that. And it truly was an honor to be nominated. And then this year, we got nominated again for a medium-sized business of the year. And I said, you know what, so we should take some of our senior staff. They deserve to see what this event's like. So we did, and then we won. Wow, what an honor. And the best part for Sylvia and I was that we had family, friends, and staff there. Because those are the biggest things to a successful business, right? So that was the best part of it for us, was having them there. So we needed more and more people, we needed more and more space, we had to buy more trucks. We even tried to open up a takeout back then. We're going like, hey, we have all kinds of fresh fish, why don't we open up a takeout and sell fish and chips? So we did. But we got so busy with the wholesale because more Red Lobsters called us, more Zares called us, the market was getting busier, the store was getting busier. We had to close the takeout down, even though it had some promise, only after about a year and a half. Because we were all working early in the morning, nobody had to work late at night and sell supper stuff, because we were all tired. So that was our little forte into the restaurant business. Although I do have a dream of opening up the ultimate fish and chip sometime, so watch out. That was a warning to my kids. So the growth was going on. We were now doing 12 Red Lobsters and 14 Zares. And they were kind of like in the same city. So like we go to Brantford, we do the Zares, we do the Red Lobster. We go to Guelph, we do the Zares, we do the Red Lobster. It was like it was made in heaven, right? Like things were going as planned and things were controlled and we were making a little bit of money even. And then all of a sudden, the Red Lobster called and said, we want you to do all of our stores, we want you to be our only supplier. Or we're going to ask somebody else. I'm going, well, it's an honor to be asked, but I can't do it right now, but give me 6 months. I'll get some financing, we'll train some people, because you don't want me to do it now because you asked me to do your stores because of quality and service. And in order to provide the same quality and service that you're asking me to deliver, you have to give me some time to get that in place. I don't want to ruin my reputation, and I don't want you to be disappointed. I don't want to lose your business forever. So within 6 months, we did all that, and it was scary for us back then because we hadn't planned it. They came to us and said, we want you to do all of our stores. So like, how many times do you get that offer? But it's scary when you get that offer because now you got to finance ahead of your strategy, ahead of your planned stuff. You've got to go open a limb again. You've got to get staff in there and get everything trained. So we had said, okay, we're going to do it. Then guess what happened? Zaire said the same thing. I can remember sitting in the Charcoal Steakhouse at a meeting, and they said, Ron, you're doing like a third of our stores. We want you to do all of our stores. We want to get rid of the other suppliers. We like what you do with your quality and your service. I said, holy crap, is this really happening? I'm going to get too big, too fast, and bomb. That's what I was afraid of. So I put them off. I said, you know what? We're growing with Red Lobster right now. You got to give me another 6 months after I start and get them all going to be able to do the quality of the service that you want. And they understood, and they said, yes, we'll give you that time. You get it together, and you've got all of our stores. So that year, we quadrupled in sales. It was absolutely like opening a new business. It was crazy. We knew we had to move out of where our original thing, and that's scary. When you move out of where you start at, it's nice if you do it controlled and planned, but when it was coming all of a sudden, and it was scary. It was really scary. For both Sylvia and I, we were going like, I'm not so sure we want to get this big this fast. Right? We were really comfortable doing 12 Red Lobsters and 14 Zares, and now we were going to do all of them for both of them. So it was a scary time. On a light note, back then, we got in a crate of lobster. We used to get them in 100-pound crates. And the bottom of one of the crates was a 25-pound lobster. We named him Lanny the Lobster. And this was before social media, before Facebook and Twitter, but this story went global. Like, this was a big story. Seafood company in Kitchener. Thanks, Michelle. Michelle's the one that got away. She just graduated with her master's in genetic counseling at Sarah Lawrence University in New York last week. And I'm glad to know after 7 years of school, somebody knows how to work PowerPoint. So this story with landing the lobster, we had like CBC News in our store, people from media from Europe calling us, from the States calling us. We ended up, my brother was a diver, Mike was still with us, and he took the lobster. Air Canada flew it down east first class, and Mike put it in the water in a non-lobster fishing area, so it would never be caught again. So that was kind of a neat story for us. It was a global story. It didn't do anything for our sales and but it was kind of a neat story. I'll press the button on Joe. 97 to 2001. So now we're moving to our new location. At this time, my brother Mike was leaving to pursue his own interests, and funny enough, he started building marine systems, because he built us a lobster tank. So he went on to open up a business building marine systems around the world. He still does it today. His business name is called the Tank Doctor. So he's been to England and Mexico and all over North America and Europe building these systems with something that was revolutionary at the time, titanium tubing. Because you're dealing with salt water, and before they were using coated copper piping, now they're using titanium and it doesn't rust. So he was on the cusp of that, and he's got a very successful business going for himself. I always remind him it's because of Caudle Sketch, but he's doing very, very well, and we really appreciate the time that he was up here with us. He's back in Halifax now. So at this time in our retail, we had the St. Jacobs market that we had bought years ago. We went into the Kitchener market, and we went into the Guelph market. And it was great. Like every Saturday morning, I can remember Brian worked part-time for me. He was at the record then. And we would all meet Saturday morning, and we hired another friend, and the three of us would meet for a coffee at like 6 in the morning, and then we'd all go off to different markets every Saturday. It was fun. But we had to move from our humble beginnings into a place on 60 Autonomy Drive. At that time, we got half the building. We now have the whole building, but we were going from like 2,000 square feet to 9,000 square feet. And it was scary. It was like opening a new business again. We had to buy new coolers, new freezers, build new lobster tanks. The only thing we didn't expand on was our retail space in the facility, because we were still doing all the Zehrs business then, so we didn't want to really like tick them off, right? But we had new offices, new staff, financing, all this stuff, and this was to handle that business that we just got last year, all the Zehrs and all the Red Lobsters. Autonomy Drive is off of Bleams Road in Kitchener, runs parallel with Manitou. One day I was looking up what autonomy meant, because I couldn't figure it out, and it's an Indian word that means water runs through here. How appropriate. How appropriate. So, Red Lobster, we started doing all of their business in Ontario, and now they approached us, they said, we want you to do all of our business in Canada. We want one good supplier in all of Canada. And I said, are you kidding me? I kind of didn't want to do it, like, you know, to deliver to a restaurant in Edmonton and Calgary, I didn't have control over that, and business owners don't like not having control, because it's your reputation, right? Like quality and service, and like, what was I going to do if there was something bad out in Edmonton? How was I going to solve that problem? We were really good at solving problems and making sure everybody was happy. That's how you grow your business. But the president of Red Lobster insisted that we go out to this meeting in Banff, Alberta, and do a presentation to all the Western restaurants, district managers, restaurant managers, on who Caudle Sketch is, what we do, how we're successful with the rest of the Red Lobsters. And they wanted pricing. So we had to do some research, how are we going to get product out there? So we come up with a special design styrofoam container with an interlocking lid 1.5 inches thick, with ice packs, top and bottom, and had to test it for temperature variation by CFIA. And we were going to deliver this product to them by FedEx, overnight by FedEx. And it works, we're still doing them today, but during this presentation, which I didn't think we were going to get the business, because, you know, FedEx rates are like $1 something a pound, and that's like a huge discount. So once I add that onto the price, I'm sure they're gonna say no. They're gonna say, thanks for coming out, thanks for the offer, but no thanks, stick to Ontario. I remember I had Michelle, who was showing a lot of promise even back then. Grade 5, she did a PowerPoint presentation for me, because I didn't know how to do it. So I took my grade 5 daughter's PowerPoint presentation out the van. I said, there's no way I'm going to get this anyway, and I don't even know what this PowerPoint thing is, so, but we got the business. We got the business. They said that, you know, all the product that you're delivering to us, we had other suppliers out there had to pay that to get it out there anyway. So our price was just equal. I think we were quoting them on 18 items and we were cheaper on 15 of them. For a little while till I found that out and marked them up. So now we're doing all the Red Lobsters across Canada, all the Zares in Ontario. 55 of them back then, 55 Zare stores in Ontario. And this all happened now over the course of like 2 or 3 years. Growth, hiring people, buying trucks, trying to keep it under control, but always, always, always never sacrificing our quality and our service. Never. Because that's what grows a business. If anybody ever talked to me about price, I would literally throw them out of my office. We had a big multinational company come in, wanted to talk to us. It was a guy who used to work for Red Lobster. He said, you gotta go to Caudle's. They're fantastic. And the first thing the guy asked me about was price. I said, I don't think we're gonna form a partnership there, sir. He said, why? I said, because the first thing you asked me about was price, and I'm not about price. I'm about quality and service, which equals value, which equals a long-term relationship. And if you don't want that, you're talking to the wrong guy. Our business doesn't do that. They left. And I'm glad they did. Because all business is not good business. 2002 to 2006. I was quickly learning how important good staff is. Because we were getting so big, I can't deliver all the product, pack all the product, talk to all of our customers. So you have to empower your staff to do that. You have to guide them, you have to let them know what the principles of your business are. And I thought I was pretty good at that. But you really have to empower your team to do the job. Right from cleaners, the packers, the truck drivers, the office staff, retail staff, they have to know what Caudle's means. And we've got staff that we hired back in those expanding years. Our core staff are between 15 and 25-year employees, and a lot of them are here today. And that's why Caudle's is where it's at today, because of that. Recognizing how important your team is second to nothing. And that's why we're getting paid for 2 free hours this morning. Even with our part-time employees, we would go out and we did a lot of part-timers because we had like markets going on Saturdays or stores, deliveries. And you know, these guys don't want to work more than 3 days a week, so I had to hire some part-timers. And our strategy with part-timers was that we would go get a university or college student, and we would pay them a little bit if we thought they were going to be good, a little bit better than average. We would train them for a year, and then we would keep them for 4 years. And that's a great strategy because now we had employees, part-time employees with us for 4 years, and they were very knowledgeable and spread the good word of Caudle's and knew about all of our missions. We didn't have to retrain somebody every year. So that was another great move that we did with even part-time employees, was say, like, you know what, pay them a little bit more and keep them for 4 years. We even kept one guy, I think, for 7 years as he went through teacher's college. He almost didn't want to become a teacher, wanted to stay at college. But he left. I mentioned earlier my mom and dad came down around the same time that my brother did. And they stayed here for about 9 years. And then they said, you know what, I think we're going to fully retire back to Nova Scotia. They've got family back there and friends back there. And you know, thanking them was, you know, words weren't enough. But I remember Dad used to work in the retail, so everybody thought he was the owner. because they'd come in, they'd see the chief there, that was his nickname, Codfather and the chief. And we get tired of explaining to people that, no, I just retired to work for my son and I'm running a retail. So a lot of people out there still think the chief's the owner. My dad's the owner of the business, but we get tired of trying to tell them the difference every time we see them. So for all of you people that are here that think that my dad started the business, he didn't. But he was a big supporter of us, and he still is today. And I still, you know, he had like 500 people working for him as the chief of a base. And whenever I get pushed into a corner, whether it's business or volunteering stuff that I was doing with the hospital or any type of life decision, I always called him. And he always gave me some good advice. And it was comforting to have that backup, and it still is. And my father-in-law is the same way. That family thing really means a lot. So we were getting very busy. Retail sales were growing. We were going to international seafood shows in Boston to stay up to date in the seafood industry, because we were starting to be a bigger player in the business. And everywhere we traveled, it was a business trip, because it was usually by a beach or water, and fish are in the water, so it was a business trip. Nobody here from Revenue Canada. That was probably one of the smart choices that we didn't even realize we made when we get into the seafood business, but it worked, doesn't it? So, at about this time, Matt had gone to Conestoga for a couple of years, and he wanted to come into the business. He really wanted to come into the business, and I said, Matt, I don't know if it's a good idea. He goes, why? Because I said, as a Caudle, you're going to have to work twice as hard. You have to follow some protocol, and you have to earn your own respect. You have to forget your last name's Caudle. Okay, I can do that. Okay, well, you start out back tomorrow cleaning. What? He said, you start out back cleaning. You got to clean, you got to pack, you got to do deliveries, and earn your own respect. You're not starting at the top, you're starting at the bottom. So I'm sure he didn't like me for a little while, right, Matt? And I don't blame him, but it's tough love, right? Like, he has to earn his own respect, and now everybody in our business respects Matt because he's done all of their jobs. And they know he knows how to do it and do it well. And now they know he's passionate about the business like we are. He can't teach passion, but he's got passion for the business. So we're lucky to have that. We're lucky to have Matt in the business for sure. With the business still growing, the industry was growing, like seafood was becoming more and more popular. It was in all of the grocery stores now. More and more restaurants had it on the menu. More and more Red Lobsters were opening. We passed like $15 million in sales was theirs in Red Lobster back in those early days. Never dreamed we would ever get to there. So in order to keep doing that, we had to build partnerships with our suppliers, same as we were building partnerships with our customers. Because with the seafood industry growing and people not being able to keep up with the demand, it became very important to have relationships with your suppliers in those years. So we built some long-term relationships with our core suppliers. I go visit them out east, out west, down by the Great Lakes. And we became a preferred distributor based on our effort to build a partnership with them and not move around for price. We demanded quality and service, but we never moved for price. If somebody came to me and said, well, I can give you that salmon for 25 cents cheaper. Some people would move, we never moved. We stayed with our suppliers that we had built a relationship with, that had helped us get to where we were going. Because remember what I said before, price isn't always important. So that's why we have these 25-year relationships with some of our suppliers. Another thing about being successful in the community was we felt like we should start giving back. So we had a lot of employees, we had the family, we were becoming very successful. So how can we give back? Volunteering. started volunteering at Grand River Hospital, I think it was 1986. No, not 1986, 2006 maybe, 2006. I think I've been there 10 or 11 years. Anyway, we thought it was important to give back, and once I get into it, it wasn't about giving money, but it was giving your time and your ideas and your thoughts, and that's a different type of rewarding, I want to tell you, right, Reiner? Reiner's on the Hospital Foundation board. And you know, we can throw money at things, but when you can spend some time helping the community, and you know, heaven forbid they even use one of your ideas. I can remember phoning my wife on the way back from a board meeting. And I said, so, I think they're going to use an idea I had to raise some money. And, you know, I'm not talking about $10,000, I'm talking about millions of dollars. And wow, what a gratifying, rewarding thing. I can still remember it. I was driving on Victoria Street talking to her, and it was something that still resonates, and it became a policy for our business to give back to the community. Our staff know it. They help run golf tournaments. They cover my ass when I'm not in the office. And so it's well known out there now that, you know, we want to give back to the community. It's a great way to grow your business foundation too, you know. Like, people see you out in the community helping. Say, like, Caudle's Cat's not a bad company. Look what they're doing. And people like supporting people that support other people. So I joined a committee at the foundation, went on to become a board member, went on to chair the foundation for 5 years. And it was a real special time for me. I was at my last board meeting last night, and I got a little emotional because it's been a big part of my life for the last 10, 11 years. And my staff supported me, my family supported me, and so many good friends that I've made. In business relations, it was a big part of my life, and I'm glad I did it. I'll look forward to doing some other stuff because I'm probably going to stay connected somehow, right, Ryan? I thought so. So, you know, with all that good stuff happening, there has to be some bad stuff. Get a phone call from Zehrs, Loblaws, had taken over Zehrs. Their head office closed down in Cambridge, and they moved to Brampton. And I can remember, ironically, I was sitting in a Zehrs parking lot, and I get a phone call from the guy, "Hey, Ron, there's some bad news for you." "What's that?" "We're moving some of the seafood volume into the warehouse, the new warehouse we built in Cambridge." "So, really? We just spent the last 15 years building your business up, and you're taking some away, just like that." So we weren't really prepared for that. It was a little disappointing. We had worked a long time with, you know, a couple eggs in the basket, Red Lobster and Zehrs, and didn't really explore our retail business because we were doing all the Zehrs in town, so we didn't have to. So we had to refocus. We were like 20-something years in business, and we just got slammed. So how are we going to do that? Don't want to let my staff go. They're like family to me. So I gotta get some. Reinvent ourselves, re-strategize, keep the staff. We lost money for a couple of years trying to do that. So it was like starting all over again. We still do, we still do $1 million a month with Loblaws. We took over some other business for them, but it was like starting a new business again. We had to re-strategize, and we figured that maybe retail is where we should go. Maybe they'd be more loyal than Loblaws. So we said, how are we going to increase our retail sales? More locations, social media, websites. We would have to have a new plan. 20-something years in business, we need a new plan. So I remember talking to Brian Holton, who's been my friend since 1981 when I came up to work at Woco. He was one of the first guys I met here. And him and I went to Toronto together, same store, and I talked to him. I bounced a lot of stuff off when I was thinking of opening the seafood business. I think we were having fish and chips in a mall at Town and Country and Young and Steeles. And I said, I might sell some fish. He goes, what are you talking about? I said, well, we'll open up a fish store. Really? So he always helped. He helped us build the store. He worked at the markets part-time. So he's sitting in there now in my office, and I'm going like, here's what's happening. We're going to re-strategize. We're going to get bigger in retail. We're going to need some more people. I said, I gotta hire somebody to look after some of this stuff for me. He goes, I'm your man. I said, what? You're working at the record for 25 years. What do you mean? You can't. He said, no, I'm ready to make a move. He goes, I'm your man. I said, well, go home and tell your wife and come back and tell me and you're hired. He's our operations manager. He's been with us for over 5 years. And he's a big part of our business now. So that enabled me to get out of some of the day-to-day stuff and create some of these new strategies that we had to do to move forward. One of the biggest difficulties we have in the seafood business is that people don't know much about seafood. They're not comfortable making it part of their diet. They don't have a chef D at home making meals for them. So we have to try to educate them. How are we going to do that? So we can have seminars, recipes, stuff on our website, all that stuff. But we said, why don't we get a value-added program going? And out of the skies fell Ken Duff, who's worked in the grocery store industry for years and years and years, and he had this passion for making value-added seafood. And I said, perfect, let's do it. So now we have a value-added program in all of our retail locations, and we even sell to some of our wholesale. And it's very successful. It's called Caudle Select, and it's fresh oven-ready seafood, ready to go in the oven, and we give you cooking instructions. We're going to try to put Chef D out of business. So now you can buy fresh oven-ready seafood, already marinated, already prepared, and all you have to do is take it home and cook it. You'll have a successful experience, and then maybe you'll venture on into trying some tuna or something else. And that's how we're going to try to grow our retail business. And it's working. It's a huge success. That's going to be a big part of our future. So we're getting close to the end. We're saying, how else can we diversify? So we're really concentrating on all this retail stuff, but in wholesale, how are we going to increase our sales? So Flanagan Food Service, big local company, but they didn't do fresh seafood. And they didn't know how to do fresh seafood, and they didn't want to do fresh seafood. But the problem is their customers wanted it. So logistically, we're right across the street. So we talked to each other for about 6 months. And we worked out that, got together a list and some pricing, and their sales force of 50 people are going to go out and sell it. They're going to give us the order. We're going to procure it, pack it, and cross-dock it to them every night. And we now do over $1 million worth of sales with them. So that's got nowhere to go but up. And we just started with another small company in southern Ontario, southwestern Ontario, Morton's. We're doing the same thing for them. So they're letting the experts look after the seafood, and we're letting them do the sales and the delivery. It's a win-win. We get half the markup, they get half the markup. We're competitive on the street. Their product is like one of the best on the street, and it's working. So our fresh seafood now is being delivered from like Kingston all the way to Thunder Bay overnight with Flanagan's and Morton's. It works. Who would have thought? We're still continuing to do business with, we still do all the Red Lobsters in Canada. They've been a partner for over 22 years. We still do Loblaws. We actually grew our business with Loblaws. We now do independent grocers up north, all the northern stores. We do most of the Zehrs, Real Canadian Superstores, and some Loblaw stores. A total of 82 Loblaw stores. Still a good business. But we're going to keep pushing retail, because retail, I think, is where we have to go. We're really good at what we do. We know what customers read in at restaurants, because we do the biggest restaurant chain in Canada. We know what they're buying at the grocery stores, because we do 82 of them. So it kind of gives us some insight. Our revenue from retail went from 5% to 30% of our business in less than 5 years. because of the strategy that we put out there. And it's a planned strategy, it's a marketing strategy. We're in Vincenzo's now, the Kitchener Market, Victoria Street Market. We're doubling our size in the St. Jacobs Market. We've been there since 1987. And we've enlarged our retail store at our plant on Otonabee for the third time. We're a big player in retail now, and we like it a lot. And we're going to continue to grow in retail. Our strategy has been to do billboards, Grand Magazine, print, radio ads, social media, television, food shows. We've become a major sponsor of the Waterloo Region Food and Drink Show for the past 4 years because we believe this community deserves a food and drink show of quality so you don't have to drive to Hamilton, Toronto, and London all the time. Why can't you have local people supporting a show and have local chefs like Chef D up on stage and do it right in our hometown? So we're the major sponsor for that. We really believe in taking the food and drink industry to a new level in your hometown with your support. Monica's coming into the business. Monica graduates next week from Conestoga College, 3-year business course. And she'll soon find out that it's not all roses because she's going to do the same thing Matt did. She's going to work out backpacking, cleaning, go on deliveries, work in the office, and learn the whole business inside out and earn her own respect. So the succession continues at Caudle's. We're a member of the Center for Family Business. We're actually getting an award tonight for leadership, a leadership award for giving back to the community, for being a big part of the community, something we're very proud of. And that's a good organization to belong to too. It really fosters succession planning and family businesses. It's all family businesses that belong to it, so they're a great partner as well. Caudle's today, we import products from around the world. Our biggest area that we bring products in from is the east coast of Canada, not just because I'm from there. A little biased maybe, but there's a lot of fishing that goes on the east coast of Canada. Lobsters, haddock, cod, mussels, lobster. We bring stuff in from around the Great Lakes. We're really lucky. People say you have a seafood business in Ontario, Kitchener, Ontario, by the Grand River. Who would have thought? But the Great Lakes are the largest body of fresh water in the world, and we have access to that people on the coast don't have access to. We sell a lot of pickerel and trout, and whitefish and perch, and we sell a lot of stuff on the west coast, Pacific halibut, wild salmon. But aquaculture is becoming very important in our business, and we're getting near to the 50% aquaculture, 50% wild product now. So you should learn what aquaculture is. You should understand the business because every other protein you eat comes from agriculture, comes from farming, everything. The only thing, there's still some wild products, seafood, but because of the demand, we're going more and more to aquaculture, and the world's covered 7/10 with water, so we got an endless supply of farming land, we like to call it. So aquaculture is becoming very big. Trout, salmon, catfish, tilapia, mussels, scallops, oysters all come from aquaculture. So there is some wild salmon, so just put your hands down. There's some wild salmon from BC. There is a quota, and we bring in wild salmon. The season starts now and goes to about October, and we'll have lots of wild salmon at Caudle's. But we carry the aquaculture salmon every day of the week, and we bring it in 4 days a week from New Brunswick, from the Bay of Fundy, more than any other distributor in Canada because of the volume we do with Red Lobster. Caudle's Catch also imports products from around the world, the United States, South America, Central America, the Caribbean, Europe, and even New Zealand on a weekly basis. So truly global in our procurement. Like I said, we go to the international seafood shows now. Had Matt down to one last year. And the seafood business is big. You have no idea if you go to the show, and that it's like unbelievable. A lot of the other cultures in the world, seafood's been a main part of their diet for years and years and years. In North America, it's just becoming part of our diet. I mentioned about giving back. Caudle Seafood does an annual golf tournament. Started with 12 people, now there's 100 and something. We've raised over $150,000 for the Grand River Regional Cancer Center. And the staff runs all that. I don't have anything to do with it, and it's part of that good feeling about giving back to the community. It's part of what our culture is now at Caudle's. We're partners in the Kitchener-Conestoga Rotary Lobster Fest. We've been doing that for a number of years. That's coming up next Friday, I believe, the 5th. So if you don't have tickets, make sure you get them. If you're not there, I'll call you. Remember, for the Center for Family Business, the Greater Kitchener-Waterloo Chamber of Commerce, and so much more. You have to be part of a community that your business is in. Caudle's Catch is proud to support over 30 charities each and every year that we think are important to the community. Cambridge Hospital, St. Mary's Hospital, all the hospitals are important. It's also a good way to grow your awareness in the community, meet people, network with people, get ideas. It's so important to be out there. We think our staff, as I mentioned before, is really important. We help train them with videos, cooking, books, recipes. In fact, in our mission statement is to enable our employees to ensure our wholesale and retail customers have the best seafood experience possible. That's what we live and breathe every day at Caudle's, and that's what we'll continue to live and breathe every day. Right, kids?
Right.
Seeing if you're awake. So from a humble two-person business, Caudle's Catch has grown to offer Canada-wide wholesale operations, 5 retail locations with close to 40 employees, including our 3 children. We plan to spend the next 25 years as we spent the last fishing the waters of the world to offer you the finest seafood for any occasion. And with our succession plan in place, we are confident that this will happen. Lastly, we believe our philosophy that I've mentioned of quality and service, empowering your employees, and giving back to the community are the reasons for our continued success. At Caudle's Catch Seafood, we hook 'em, you cook 'em. Thank you very much.